that you guys can inshallah be leaders when you get into there, and that we can have influence within these spaces. So inshallah, we want just to provide opportunities for you to cultivate yourselves and to learn and grow, inshallah. So yeah, we'll get started.
So what we're going to do is just ask some general questions, and we also have some questions that are catered to you guys specifically, and then we're going to open the floor to the audience as well.
My name is Anif Abbas, and currently I run a financial advisory company called Leonine Investment Services. And I've been running this firm for about 7 years, but prior to doing this, I've been in the banking space for about 13 years, and specifically investment banking. So when businesses need to raise finance to either invest in new projects, do mergers and acquisitions, or just grow organically, we work with them to help them, flesh out financial plans, and then present to investors to raise capital and to grow. So I started my company in 7 years. I've worked with firms like PwC, and the main goal was to really empower entrepreneurs, particularly small and medium scale type entrepreneurs, to grow and support them along that piece. So currently I do that on a day-to-day basis, and I'm happy to share my experience over the last 15 years with you guys today. Thank you so much, guys.
So assalamualaikum everybody. My name is Maleeha Khan, and I followed the CPA route. I was at KPMG for a couple of years at KPMG Toronto, and my main clients were retail manufacturing clients like Tim Hortons, mix of like public and private clients. So happy to talk more about the CPA path with you guys. And I later on moved on to work with a gold mining company. I was there for about over a year. And now I'm at a construction company because I wanted to explore and try out something different as a finance manager. So passing on to you.
Hello everyone, my name is Farid Farahi. I'm a portfolio manager and investment counselor with RBCPH. I work with high net worth individuals and families in managing their wealth. I'm a chartered financial analyst, the CFA charter holder, and a certified financial planner. My background is actually in engineering. I have a master's degree in geotechnical engineering, and the first part of my career was in construction management and project management in engineering. This is my second career. I had 12 years of experience in engineering and then moved to wealth management, and I have about 7 years of experience in wealth management.
Awesome. Well, we also just wanted to mention that unfortunately one of our speakers couldn't make it, but we can share his contact information, and you guys can reach out to him if you have any more questions. But yeah, so we can move on to the first question. So the first question is, what inspired you to pursue a career in finance, and why did you choose your specific designation? This also goes for accounting, obviously, as well. So,
Thanks for that. So, what inspired me? At a very early stage in my life, my dad had a way of getting us to read books. And one of the books I read very early on was a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. And it sort of opened my eyes to the idea of being an entrepreneur and being an investor. So from a very early stage, I made up my mind I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I chose the finance space because I was good with numbers. Throughout my early career, I was very good with math, business studies, and those subjects. So I knew I had a thing for numbers. I wanted to make a lot of money, and I thought being an entrepreneur is like the surest way to make tons of money. So I had that early insight into choosing the finance space. So when I went into college, I went for finance. I studied banking and finance, and right after college as well, I was very deliberate in making sure that my career path was finance and entrepreneurship. Now I wanted to own a bank or own like a financial institution where we're providing financial services to people, but you couldn't just wake up and say you wanted to start a bank. You needed experience. So based on that trajectory, I had to get some experience in the banking sector. So I worked in the bank first, a firm, but we compete with Big Four like KPMG, PwC in terms of some of the clients we advise. And the plan is to, branch out and even do other things as well across the financial services space. So reading that book at the very early stage of my life opened my eyes to the business and finance space, and I just built on that and set my career path.
Awesome.
It's really inspiring.
Yeah, thank you.
So how I started off, I think I was always good with numbers, with math, and with accounting. Top of the class, so I thought, okay, why not? I'm good at it, and accounting is the backbone of every organization. The good stable job, the good job that can make you money. Maybe not as much as consulting and finance. I wish I could explore that side. Yeah, so I actually wanted to go into accounting from I did my A-levels actually, which is when you go to a British curriculum school, you choose your subjects very early on. So I chose my subjects in grade 9, and I was very focused in the business stream. Didn't have any sciences, so accounting was my strong strength. Later on, I went to school at TMU, which is used to be called Ryerson, and I got into the co-op program. I loved the exposure there. I started networking with people. At that point, I was at a path where I had to decide whether I want to go the Big Four route or whether I want to go into industry. So I thought, well, I am an academically excellent student. I would like to be more excellent and excel excel in terms of my personality, build my professional network. So I chose the Big Four route, which opened a lot of doors for me, I would say, in terms of exposure, in terms of meeting people, and it really, I think, groomed me into who I am today. So working at KPMG and similar to working at PwC, I think it opens a lot of doors. And so that's basically, I was just chasing excellence. I just wanted to do best of what I can. Accounting was my strength, so I just wanted to continue to excel in that.
Do you mind just elaborating a little more on how the Big Four groomed you?
Yeah, so I think when you go into industry, you're only working for one certain company. When you're at a Big Four, and especially in audit or even consulting, you have different set of clients, and you're meeting people like the VP Finance, the CFO, the Director of Finance. You don't have that one-on-one interaction as much when you start off in the industry, and you're working with different clients. Like I worked with retail, I worked with pharma clients, I worked with car manufacturing industry. So it's just a good space for you to experience a little bit of everything, and then see what you're more interested in, want to dive deeper into, and have more expertise in later on.
Thank you.
So for me, because I was in engineering, it started with curiosity. I was doing some FX trading, trying to see what this thing is, and that's how it started for me. Spent a lot of time trying to figure out this trickery and magic in doing FX trading and all of these technical analysis and things like that. So wasted a lot of time, or spent a lot of time that way. Then little by little I started to understand that there's a formal path forward. I did something with the CFA Institute. It's a smaller designation called Investment Foundations, just to educate myself, and again, that the common theme was that curiosity. So then, and at the same time in my career and my profession, I was involved in a lot of, because I was in construction management, so I was dealing with different stakeholders of the project. I was dealing with the engineering side, I was dealing with the finance, with the investor, with the owner of the project. So that was the stakeholder relationship management part of the business, which was not necessarily very technical engineering. And it's all, so when I did the finance and then I moved to Canada, I thought, okay, this is a new beginning anyway, maybe this is my chance to start something new. And I realized that all of those things that were seemingly very different and separated, they all actually could come together in wealth management industry, because as you were mentioning, there is the element of dealing and working with different business owners, different professionals, so there's the relationship management, there is the number side of things, which at start was actually easier for me because of my background. So that's how it went on for me, and that's how it started.
So we're just gonna move on to the next question.
Yeah, sure, I can go. So, I mean, I think one challenge that comes to mind was when I was preparing for my chartered accountancy exam. It's called ECCA, which is more affiliated with the UK, right? So, when I was preparing for that, it was my first time taking a professional exam. I was fresh out of college, and I was working at the time. So, the biggest challenge for me was how do and I studied finance, so I had a sense of accounting, but again, I didn't study accounting professionally, so it was still a bit new. So I thought I needed to take like extra classes, like, you know, get a school to attend and learn. Thank you so much. Right, so I started with that, but it was too much. I was working in the banking industry, a lot of pressure, so trying to balance that with, you know, studying for the exam and still having time to read, because you have to know your learning style. For me, I like to study on my own. So most times when I take any professional exam, I'm pretty much studying from cover to cover. I read everything. I don't look for shortcuts or anything. So it was a lot of pressure trying to study, attend classes, and work at the same time. So I tried it for a few months. It wasn't working. So I decided to just stop going for classes, since I knew my learning style was to study anyway. So even though I was going to those classes, I still had to read on my own to get it. So I just cut out those classes, and then that took a lot of pressure off me, and I was able to study. So I completed my ACCA, 14 papers, and then when I started the CFA, because I'm also a CFA charter holder as well, I didn't bother going for any classes because I knew it wasn't my style, and I was still working anyway. So I just studied and worked. Yeah, so the biggest challenge was just knowing your learning style and sticking to it.
So did you do your CFA as well?
Yeah, so.
So for me, sorry, what was the question again? How to balance?
Challenges.
Challenges.
What challenge do you have?
Right, so when, so I came here as an international student, and when it came to the point, so there's this thing, it's pretty recently, it's recent, yeah, it's very new. You can do your diploma, which is a 4-month diploma that covers all your core courses and also your electives, if you grade. I had the choice of whether I want to go to school for 4 more months or whether I want to start working and get ahead a little bit and also dedicate my evenings and weekends towards core 1, core 2, what are the other two? I think you choose elective 1 and elective 2, yeah. It's been a while now. So I chose that path. I thought, you know, why not get a head start in my career, and as I'm learning, I can continue to apply those things in my workplace, and vice versa. Like when you're working, you learn a lot of things that, you know, just textbook knowledge is not very relevant. So it was challenging. I had to dedicate my evenings and weekends, you know, stay up until like 2 a.m. The deadline was 3 a.m. for the assignments. They were weekly assignments. But again, it's more about breadth, like in CPA. It's more about where you can find the things in the handbook. You have to know how to answer a particular way and not aim for perfection. So yeah, a lot of time management. When you're working for a Big Four, there is a blackout season. You can't be working in the busy season, which is basically January to April. So you can't be enrolled in an elective or in a course. But you manage, like, you know, you have that motivation, you want to become, you have specific goals for yourself, you hold yourself accountable to those standards and those goals and just work towards it.
So just to be clear, you didn't take the diploma?
I did not take
So
the
you did
diploma.
everything with work?
I did everything with work, yeah. Yeah, I was one of those people. One of those very few people who took the harder route.
for me, I think same as Maleeha and Hanif mentioned. The biggest thing is time commitment, and a lot of times you're doing your CFA. You're not necessarily right out of school, or you don't do it while you're studying at school. So you may be like in your career, you're progressing, and then you realize that this is the path you want to go. So you want to be a CFA charter holder. In my case, my license requires to be a CFA charter holder. For a lot of other like equity analysts or different types of professions that people follow, this is something that you start to work and then you realize, okay, this is the path I want to take. So at that stage you're working, some people have started families, so the biggest challenge is time commitment. But, so if you speak with people, they may give you advice that whatever you do, start early, like don't wait until you're very busy with your family, but in my case, this wasn't the case for me, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. Like life is not linear, so you take turns and twists, and so be prepared for that. You don't need to figure out everything ahead of time and have everything planned for the next 20 years. But be prepared that like the CFA Institute itself, they have an estimation of you need 300 hours of study for each level. So that's the most important thing. Have that time commitment. You can't do it in 1 year, that's okay, do it in 2 years. You can't do it consecutively, I didn't do it consecutively, like I failed level 2 once. So that, it's just that resilience and keeping at it until you finish it.
And just to add on, I think it's very important, like just in university, right? Do your readings, stay on top of your assignments, just like that. Have a to-do list, start early. You know, it's like taking medication, right? You can't just pop all the pills at once. It won't work that way. You have to take it in a schedule of times.
Were there like any like specific other types of study methods you guys use? Like, for example, for some people they like using cue cards and multiple choice study, or it's like the program already set up for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I can go. So for me, it was 6 hours. I tried to do 6 hours per day, every day. So I wake up very early. I do 2 hours before I go to work, and then during the day, I try to sneak out times, just refreshing things, maybe 1 hour. Most time that I do about 5 hours per day. But my style is not to rush. So I don't work well trying to study like 1 month to the exam and trying to cram everything. It doesn't work. Like last month to the exam, I'm only doing questions and past questions, multiple choice, and just revising. So I start very early, and like you said, 300 hours for each level, minimum average. You need to have study for 300. So I just did the math, and I did 6 hours every day. And during the week, if I couldn't make the 6 hours, then the weekend I might do 12 hours or something. So, and that's just like you said, dedication. You know, small bits but consistently over time. And then once I complete the study materials, and then I focus on questions, past questions, how to answer the questions, and all that stuff. So that was my question.
Yeah, of course, the same thing. Yeah, and I also like just for me, it was more like exposing myself to one thing several times. Again, like I'll use another example. It's like watching a movie. You know, you watch it once, okay, you get a few things. You watch it the second time, you might see some things which you missed. So like for me, I would take my own notes, like textbook and stuff. I would like mainly like highlight things. A lot of it was on the ebook, so that was a bit challenging for me, I would say, because I'm more of like I like to write things down. But I think I like just being in the workplace now, and like with times like you have to take notes. It's just more easier to control finding things and keywords. But I find writing things down, it sits with me, like at the back of my mind. So I used to write things down, and then I would look at things in my own handwriting. Like even if I had 5 minutes, I'd like just glimpse over it and be like, it would be like I would call it in my head like a speed review.
Yeah.
You know? So just looking at it.
Yeah, so I'm same as Hanif. I like to read it cover to cover. there are a lot of good third-party education providers that you can take the concise version or it's like a shortcut. Because I was an outsider to this industry, I wanted to learn, like I wanted to understand what I'm reading. So I read the material itself. Like with level 1 at that time, it was close to 3,000 pages that you had to read. So that's the level of commitment in terms of time that it takes. So I did that, but then I realized that there are these third-party providers. They're really good, but then depends on your side and what you want to take out of the program. I still personally think that the material itself is very good, so I recommend doing that, but then there are these other options as well.
I'll add something. I think one key thing and key insight I had that I think also might vary for different people is what is your objective for taking an exam. Some people, the objective is just to get that designation, your CFA, or some people is to be able to get that job or to qualify for something, right? But if your objective is to learn, then you might do things a bit differently. So if my objective was just to pass the exam, then I'll look for the fastest, short. But if your objective is to learn, then you might want to think about that. So I think it's very useful to clarify what your goal is, your objective for taking whatever exam, and then you can then plan along those lines.
I hope you guys are ready. So dedication earlier, right?
Before I started my company in about 2018, I earned my designation in CFA just around about a couple of months before that. So obviously it's on my business card, and then sometimes I'm in meetings and people get impressed that, oh, you're CFA, you're ACCA, you're this, you're that, and they sort of trust you. So I'll say it's also helped me win a lot of mandates. So just last year, I was training a group of investment bankers, and when I was speaking with the CFO later, one of the things she said was one of the reasons why they chose me over one of the other people was they saw my qualification. I was like, okay, we need to bring this guy in. So I can't really say like tangibly to say, okay, this, but I know in terms of promotion, I was executing better, I got promoted. In terms of winning mandates as an entrepreneur, it's on my profile, people look at that when they're trying to decide, right, starting this deal, and then I've been winning some mandates, and some clients say, okay, we like the profile, we thought, you're comfortable, we trust that you'll be able to do this.
So it shows that you're just more qualified.
Exactly, you're more qualified.
Yeah, I think with your CFA, CPA, MBA, any designation whatsoever, there are two things that come out of it. One thing, like you mentioned, is learning. You're an expert, you're there to learn. That's why you're taking the certification. The second thing is branding, right? Personal branding. People trust you. People can rely on you. And a lot of job descriptions you'll see, they require a CPA or a CFA. So, I mean, that's how it is, and that's how the world is now. So, yeah.
So I could be a little bit more specific in my case. In wealth management industry in Canada, there are two bodies or regulatory bodies that provide licensing. So the one that I have done is the Ontario Securities Commission. So if you want to be a portfolio management license, you need CFA. So it's other than your career progression, this is a requirement that you need a CFA charter and 1 year of something called relevant investment management experience, or RIME. So that's a requirement. But even doing CFA level 1, so you can have a partial license. Like if you have your CFA level 1 and you have 4 years of experience, you can be an associate advising representative. So there is value to partial doing just level 1, there is value to that as well. And in terms of career, in the line of business that I'm in, that just shows that you're serious. You have the commitment, you've done your level, even level 1. That shows that you're on your path, you're serious about this, so it's very helpful in wealth management industry.
You guys talked about your designations here, but what do you think are critical in terms of success in your fields, apart from the designation? So, things that are separate from those? What would you say?
So I think for me, again, I've been in the finance space all my career, and I think one of the main reasons why I did the ACC exam was made me a chartered accountant is the accounting skill is so critical. Like you said, it's the currency of business. Like every business needs to report the financials, and that's the way you're judged. You know, just yesterday I was listening to the earnings report of Tesla, and talking about the performance, how many cars will be shipped, performance and all that. So accounting skills, generally speaking, is very important. Even if you're going to be in oil and gas, if you're going to grow to like the C-suite level, you need to understand the language of business. I think that was my main reason for doing ACCA. And over and above that is communication and relationship management skills. And usually when people join my team, I tell them there are two main things you need. You need execution and origination. As an early stage finance professional, you need to be able to execute, do research, do analysis, get work done. And then as you grow more senior, your origination abilities, ability to bring in new business, sales, communication, relationship management becomes more important. So I think those are like three sets of skills I would say that are very critical.
Yeah. What skills or experiences do you think are critical for success in the finances?
Skills or experiences critical for success. I would say any skill, no matter like if it is finance or not, the curiosity to learn, like I think we touched upon, the curiosity to the determination to excel, the determination to self-learn. Like there are a lot of things that you learn on the go. Nobody will like teach you. Sometimes on the job, you just have to be able to figure things out, be a problem solver. There are things, like I know like my boss would know, he would have an answer, or he or she would have an answer to. But the time that you take to actually look into things and investigate, you'll learn more that way than just getting a spoon-fed answer. So I think that's very important. The other thing I would say, and it applies to you guys as students as well right now, make sure to network, right? Like they say, your network is your net worth. So network, right? Like when you're an accountant, especially in finance, you have to know people, to make deals, and even in accounting, just relationship management. You're interacting with different levels of management. You're interacting with operations, sometimes engineers, sometimes project managers. At least in my industry, I'm also interacting with AP and AR and people who are not very familiar with the accounting terminologies. So sometimes you also have to have the skill of talking in layman terms, so a common person can understand. So this is very important.
I totally agree that the industry that I'm in is considered a sales industry. Sometimes that has a negative meaning. So some people say we're not car salesmen. It actually is not negative. It's the ability to tell a story. Can I explain to you in an understandable fashion what I do or what I understand from a specific stock, specific investment, specific whatever you're doing. We work with asset managers or the sales side of the industry. They're not necessarily dealing with end clients. So they are very technical, they're portfolio managers, but at the end of the day, they should be able to walk up to us and explain to us what is it, the product that they have and what they do. So this ability to understand the process and then explain the process. And it's not something you're born with, it's just takes practice, takes knowledge, and takes doing over many years. So it's an acquired skill. So that's one thing. And the other thing that I wanted to mention in terms of skills is just that people and relationship manager that Hanif mentioned. Just this ability to be disciplined, to be like we talk about networking. It's just about speaking with people, be be yourself and be cordial and have that relationship with people. That's very, very useful and very crucial in my experience.
I just have like a follow-up question. Maybe for me first, like, can you talk more about like your experience of PwC and how that was like more of a, what kind of transferable skills, how did that experience really help you in terms of going into entrepreneurship?
Thanks for that. So prior to working with PwC, I was in the banking space, right? And one of the things about the banks is all about debt. So even though I was working on several deals, I worked on deals in the power sector, oil and gas, but it was more debt focused. And as most of you know, in finance, there are two main asset class, debt and equity. So switching over to PwC, one of the very big addition it had to my career was exposure to equities. So now I was working on equity deals, and then it was a global brand, right? So that was also very useful. And there are a lot of skills that you get from, so most people see PwC as a training ground, a lot of the big fours as a training ground because you don't go there to earn the big bucks. I literally took like a 50 or 70% pay cut to switch to PwC. Right, so you don't go there to earn the big bucks. You will earn more maybe in banking or some other career, but you go there to learn. And when you're coming out of that organization, or those organizations, it's a different ballgame. There's that stamp that, you know, this is
It's a golden
it's a
seal.
good, yeah, so it's a big one. But over and above that was the exposure to equities and,
Right.
you know, doing deals. So for me, it gave me that rounded experience. I've done debt, I've done equity, and, you know, it's like having the best of both worlds. So I think that
It's more of
was
your technical experience.
yeah, technical experience. And then on the relationship side, I've been very mindful about it from day zero, right? So when I was in the banking sector, I was very mindful. Like every organization I work in, I know all the people that matter, and I deliberately, you know, cultivate those relationships right from zero to the C-suite. And I think it's something that helped me when I decided to start my own business because a lot of the clients I got in the first 12 and I'll say even till now, were from referrals, from people that I've worked with, from my past colleagues, from clients that served, that I knew that I was now doing this. A lot of referrals, so that's one of the advantage. And if you work in PwC, the peak of your career there is to become a partner, which means you're like a shared owner in business, and one of your main responsibilities is to bring in deals. So if you're like me and you're very ambitious, you know that one day you need to be bringing in deals, and then you need to work back to see what are those skills that I need to have to be able to deliver on that level. And those are some of the things I picked up from there. And a lot of the culture that I now instill at my companies and within the teams I build up, I also gained from PwC in terms of, you know, performance appraisals, coaching and mentoring, you know, how to structure teams and all that. A lot of those I also picked up from there.
Just for you, just can you talk a little bit more about like your engineering experience and how that helped you in finance?
Sure. So apart from the like technical and numbers skills, something that really helped me was I mentioned the stakeholder relationship management. So you have to bring the architect, the like electrical, HVAC, construction, the designer, structural, different people, bring them to the table and come to a final decision. You have limitations in terms of budget, in terms of time. So this ability to hear everyone, to understand what their concerns or where the bottleneck is in the project, I think that was crucial because what we do is a long-term relationship, and there is a very long process from the day that we meet, initial prospect meeting, to the day that we finalize a portfolio for a client. It may take a long time. So having that ability to plan things, stay on the course, be prepared for surprises, and be prepared for everything not go according to the plan, I think those are
Right now, a lot of people, they go into like business degrees, and a lot of people go into the business because they want to avoid things like, oh, I don't want to code, I don't want to kind of get into like all these technical things. But I wanted to get your guys' like opinions and takes on how important it is to actually know these things in a business sense, and how important it is to kind of like learn to interact with them and know how to actually talk with them on their terms and know what they're talking about to you. So we get started with
Okay. Now I think coding, it's becoming almost like how reading and writing was back then, right? I think it's a skill that would be very helpful, not just for programmers, because in terms of like problem solving, for example, when you write programs or when you code, you're actually problem solving because you're trying to get something to happen in a way that's automated, and you try to do that. So I don't think people should run away from it. Like, if you check some of the curriculums for like CFA, I qualified for CFA a long time ago, but I've seen some of their recent material. I know that covering things like Python and SQL and some of all these other languages. And one of the greatest skill you can have, at least today, in finance is financial modeling skills, right? It's very critical. And when we build financial models, you have pretty much coding, right? It might not be like a language like C# or JavaScript, but you're literally coding because you have inputs, you have some calculations that happen automatically, and you have outputs. That's coding, input, output, right? So I think people should, but a lot of times we hear these buzzwords and you think that is like something only special people can do. But by the time you dig in a little bit, you'll see that it's not really a big deal. And then my point, which I think is also emphasizing what my co-panelist said, is you have to have that open-mindedness, that willingness to want to learn and relearn, because the markets are changing. Everybody is aware of what's happening with artificial intelligence, and now knowing how to prompt an AI engine to get you the kind of results you want. Those are skills that become more important, and also understanding what's happening in the back end, to be able to assess, because these things are prone to errors as well. But if you just put in input and just take garbage in, garbage out, then it also affects your quality as a professional, because when you use some of these tools, it helps to be able to know how is it working and how can you spot errors and how can you fix those errors. So in a nutshell, I'll say we should embrace it because it's a critical skill. And there was someone that said, in this world, there are only two kinds of people: the programmed and those who program. So you would rather want to be around those who program. But yeah, that's what I said.
I actually have a question. Which software do you guys use for financial modeling? Is it specific or is it Excel?
So it's Microsoft Excel
Yeah.
primarily, right? But there are other tools that are coming up now. But today, 9 out of 10 deals is still Microsoft Excel that is
You
running.
guys can't escape
Right,
this.
you can't escape Excel.
Yeah,
You
Excel
can't.
is amazing.
It's amazing. Like 9 out of
So
10,
much.
you're using Excel. I mean, there's some tools that they try to say they do like financial modeling, but it's for like maybe very tiny businesses where your small scale business is straightforward. But if you're doing big deals like mergers and acquisitions where you're trying to model like synergies, there are no two similar deals. So most times you need to have that skill to be able to fine tune it to this customer's strategy, to what they want to achieve. And all that magic happens in Excel. I've seen companies that spend millions of dollars on softwares like Microsoft Dynamics or some of these other tools, but eventually they still have to go back to Excel to do some of those things. So to your point, Excel is still critical, at least today. I don't know what tomorrow looks like, but yeah, today.
If you're working in accounting and finance, you're looking at Excel sheets, yeah.
Is that the same for you?
No, not for me. So I'm not like in equity analysis or but there are a lot of different softwares that we use in terms of planning, in terms of portfolio management. Excel is unavoidable.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to mention is that I have a motto that everything is figure outable.
Yes.
So you don't necessarily need to know, because we don't know 5 years from now which software or which type of coding, but just having the ability to go from first principles is important. So whatever you're doing now, whatever you're exposed to now, that may not translate to what you will do in future word for word, but having that ability to, okay, I start from this point and then I get to my goal, having the ability to come up with the solution from first principles, I think is very important. And
Yeah.
You need to find those resources. I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes you are Googling stuff. Because there's so much like new things coming out that there aren't a lot of like resources, like for AI, like universities are just coming out with courses. So So all these tech people, you know, they're learning at all, like, let's say hackers even, right? They learn things on their own.
Yeah.
And then big companies, they utilize those hackers so that they can test their security systems, their firewalls. So there's a lot of self-learning for sure.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We are like running out of time. We can ask a couple more questions because we want to give time to the audience as well. And then we ask some questions as catered to you guys. So just one more question is, what advice would you give to students considering pursuing the CFA or CPA designation?
A loaded question.
Very loaded. So I mean, if you're considering, I haven't taken the CPA, so I'll focus more on the CFA. But if you're considering the CFA, I'll say the biggest thing I'll say is know your why. Why are you considering the CFA? Because it's not an easy journey. If you don't have a strong why, you get frustrated along the way, or there are a lot of people that start the CFA and then you just abandon it after, because you'll be challenged, right? So I think having a strong why is very important, and then if your why is very strong, then it's easy to then build on that and then go for it. I think CFA is very strong if you are looking to build a career in finance, private equity, investment banking, portfolio management, asset management. Those sort of fields is super critical, right? But if you don't see yourself, you're not passionate about those areas, it might not be the best option. But again, it goes back to the objective and the why. So make sure your why is very strong, and then based on that, you can then walk your way back.
And I think it might be scary. Like sometimes you fascinate, and sometimes you think, oh, life is this way. CPA, CFA looks like something I would like, but you don't really know once you get into it. Don't be scared, right? Like just when you've made a decision that you want to become a CPA or CFA, just stick to it. And somewhere or later, like it will help you out. It is those two designations are very amazing and like great designations to have. It will open up like opportunities for you, even if you don't pursue a career in finance or accounting. So just have the resilience. Obviously, don't like if you don't like it. Like I have seen a lot of people like come in as a first-year staff, and a lot of them have left and pursued a career in product design or something in tech. Much recently, I think that's been more of a trend. Like people are moving away from doing accounting.
Yes.
But I mean, yeah, find your passion, find your liking. I think more recently I've realized if you follow your passion, it doesn't necessarily, you can't really necessarily make a living out of it. I don't know if you guys agree. You can, but what if your passion is football? You know, can you be the David Beckham? Can you be the Lionel Messi? You know?
Yeah, probability is low, but yeah.
Like work is work. Accounting, like, is it my passion? I don't know. I enjoy it, yeah, for sure. But my passion, I would say, yeah, maybe like I have other passions and like
That
you know.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It's really important to
It's
also have hobbies
controversial.
as well outside of your work.
Yeah.
My advice is speak to people. There are many different things that I was doing my CFA. I had passed my level 2, and I still couldn't explain the difference between investment banking, between asset management, between wealth management. All of these things seem to be very connected, and they are connected, but they're very different things that you can do. So deal making, mergers and acquisitions, the compliance, legal side of things, there are many different avenues that you can take. So speak with different people and have them or ask them to explain to you what they do, what part of finance, because I always joke that at first if someone would ask me what do you want to do, I would say I want to work in finance. It's like saying I want to be a doctor. What kind of doctor? What there are so many different things that you can say, and this relates to that passion as well, that you can be a finance professional in gaming industry. We have colleagues that specialize in working with professional athletes. So you're passionate about football, about hockey, you can be someone who provides money advice to professional hockey players. Like all of these things can be connected at a deeper level. So just speak with people, explore, be curious, ask questions. You will find your own specific customized way in it.
Just to add something, I think one habit I recommend everybody tries to imbibe is reading, right? And I know in today's world, it might also be maybe listening to podcasts or listening to audiobooks, but there's so much information out there that trying to look through the lens of people that lived or walked the path can also open your ideas. Like I mentioned, for me, my interest in entrepreneurship and finance was out of just reading a book and seeing some of those options. So, like you mentioned, speaking to people is useful as well. But some people maybe like to read. I like to read, and I think most people should read more, or at least maybe listen to something or watch something, and then you might find something that really piques your attention or that you have an interest in. And you can combine those things. Like I think you answered the question very nicely. You might have a passion for football, but you also like finance, and then you're doing finance for for Manchester United club or whatever. So, but try to be open-minded, try to really speak to people out there. It also helps you shape.
So we're gonna move on to like specific questions for each of you. So this one's for you, Maleeha. I know you and you have both touched upon this a little bit throughout the other questions, but can you tell us more about your experience working at KPMG and how that kind of helped shape your expertise in like finance and accounting, and like what were the most valuable skills you would say that you gained from working at one of these big four firms?
So working at KPMG, the experience, like I said, it was very enriching. You start off with this whole batch of people who are really determined and really ambitious to get their CPA. And you wanted me to focus more on, with skills? Or
Just like expertise in that
expertise? Yeah, so like it was more about, for me, it was about getting exposure. Getting exposure to different industries, getting exposure, like if I want to try out tax, like there's opportunities where you can like go and try out tax for like 3-4 months. If you're in audit for, you tried out audit, you can go in and try out consulting. So there are definitely those avenues, and they encourage that internally as well. Like you have to have those conversations with your managers and grow your network. So I think that's something that really attracted me. Those opportunities at the Big Four.
Did you personally? Sorry, did you
I
personally?
actually did not.
Okay.
Unfortunately, due to COVID, I really wanted to do a secondment in Turkey or Dubai. I would love to do that. But yeah, it's not the, one of those plans. So yeah, other plans for me. But yeah, no, definitely like take advantage of those opportunities. And for me, working at a Big Four compared to working at a smaller firm or something in industry was, I wanted to work for a firm which is very established, to learn, like I think Hanif mentioned, to learn the way things, like how to structure a team or how to lead a team. When I was senior, just in my 3rd year of my career, I was leading a team. In my 4th year, I was leading a team of 10 people. I had to coach and mentor those people. I had to provide feedback to them and be cautious of, their feelings, having those feelings of empathy, not being too critical. So I think those are some of the expertise, like those are the things, leadership skills that I learned that I don't think I would have had opportunities to do in my 3rd or 4th year of my career in the industry. So I really enjoyed that, mentoring people, coaching people. Yeah.
So for our next question, for Hanif, can you just tell us about your experience with entrepreneurship, including challenges, setbacks, and advice for students looking to pursue that route?
Sure. So I think in terms of entrepreneurship, for me, like I said, I had that intention very early on, but because of the field I was choosing to go into for entrepreneurship, I needed experience. So for some of you thinking about entrepreneurship, it might be valuable to gain some experience first, right? One of the advantages my experience gave me was a network, right? I was able to have a solid network of business leaders. Immediately I decided I wanted to go into entrepreneurship. She said something, you know, your network is your net worth. Like that was one of the things, one of the mentors I spoke with mentioned. And another way he put it was, your network opens the door, but your competence, your skills, your professionalism keeps you in the room, right? So network is critical. And one of the advantages of getting that experience first was the network. Another thing which I touched on was how to build a team. Things like performance management, coaching, mentoring. Some of those things might have been harder for me to do without the experience I had from PwC. So I think that was also one other thing. And then just knowing that it's going to come with challenges. When I made the leap into entrepreneurship, for the first month, I was too scared I didn't have a salary. Right? I wasn't taking any money out because I didn't know, like, am I going to make it? Is the sales going to come in or not? So for like the first 3 months, it was like I was just trying to be cautious, and then after that it became clear that yes, you know, and then since then it's just been like that. So it's very risky because then other people also depend on you. On an average, my team is usually between 7 to 10 man. So you have people that are actually depending on you for their salaries, their living. So again, it comes with a lot of responsibility. But with preparation, with having the right network and support system, having mentors, and also knowing what you want to do. And I think with business, if you don't have a customer, there's no business. And then if you're not solving a problem, then you don't have a customer as well. So trying to figure out what problem you're trying to solve and what your solution or value proposition is very important. A lot of people don't spend too much time on that, but I think that's one of the most important things, because without a customer, there's no business.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that insight. And then just one more question for free, and then we're going to give it out to the audience, is what advice do you have for individuals looking to switch careers into finance from a non-traditional background? So you touched upon that a little bit.
So do it. My advice is, if you want to do it, do it. I was working in wealth management. I was at the early stages of working in wealth management, and I still had a question that, is this actually a thing? Like, can someone from engineering background go and deal with money management and wealth management? Then I realized that some of my colleagues are actually, they come from that background. So I think it's connected to that theme of entrepreneurship. You need to have life skills, and all of different skills and different experiences that you gain are actually valuable. So don't take things at face value. If someone says 9 to 5 job is bad, challenge that headline, you'll find something different beneath that. I think there is a stat that average age of a successful entrepreneur is actually in their 40s. So a lot of people have experiences, they have careers, they have some professional experience, and then they find something that they can focus on, they can do differently. So it's totally doable, and you don't, as I said, you don't need to have the next 20 years of your life mapped out. Go into something, be passionate about it, do your best, and then that you may still on that job or on that path for the rest of your life, or you may find something different and you may branch out.
I also have just one more question for you. With over 17 years of diverse professional experience, what key lessons have you learned that have helped you succeed in the wealth management field?
I think resilience. There are ups and downs, there are challenges, but if and we talk about you have to be passionate, you have to enjoy what you do. I don't think there is a single person that 100% enjoys everything that they do throughout the day. So it takes resilience. Yes, there are parts that we enjoy, and there are parts that are necessary to be done. So I think the most important thing is just keep at it, stay the course.
Awesome. All right, so now should be the fun part. We're gonna ask the audience now for questions that you guys have. Okay, so the
as well. I want to do my CFA, get the whole designation because I have a passion for finance. And my dad's a CMA, and he actually went here for the Laurier graduate diploma, like you were saying. They have the option to do that. And take your kid to work day in grade 9. I went to work with him, fell asleep. I didn't enjoy accounting, and I don't enjoy the accounting courses I have to take as much as the finance ones. So I'm leaning more towards the CFA, and I'm not sure if you guys know this, but they've recently changed the requirements for the CFA that you only have to be within 23 months of graduation to take it. So like as a second year, I'm allowed to take it in second year summer. So I was gonna take it in August, but I have a cousin who graduated from engineering. He's studying for the August exam, and he's like, don't do it, you're gonna throw your whole life away, you're too young for this, do something else. Don't waste all your time, just do something else with your time. And my dad's like, do whatever you want. And I also posted on I don't know if you guys know what Reddit is. I posted on the Reddit, and they were like, everyone's like, yeah, don't do it, you're too young, just don't focus on your professional career right now. And I'm looking for an internship, of course, but it's not looking the best until I get something. But I'm kind of in an ultimatum between should I pursue the designation early on, because I'm passionate about it, and at the end of the day, I'm sure it'll help me get a job as well, which isn't even the main goal. I want to get the designation anyway, but I'm stuck in between a choice of pursuing it right now or doing something else with my time. And the thing is, I don't have an alternative, so I'm not sure what to do. Would you guys recommend starting early? You guys did say start early, but this early, still in second year, not sure what I should do.
I think it's very valuable to do you're already passionate about it, you've thought about it, you understand the process. So I think it's very valuable for you to do level 1. Level 1 covers all of different parts of the industry, so it's high level explanation of different asset classes. And
do a full semester of school, and I'm not in a rush to graduate.